In the soft amber light of early morning, the thatched roofs of Maple Hollow glowed like honeyed combs. Mist clung to the fields of swaying barley beyond the village, and the call of a lone lark rose above the gentle stir of waking life. Down a narrow dirt lane, 26-year-old Clara moved with quiet purpose, her linen skirt brushing the dew-damp stones. Every cottage door she passed opened onto smiles and nods. Even the youngest children waved from straw-broomed porches. Though her task was simply to carry fresh water from the village well, Clara's presence felt like a promise of hope to all who saw her. At the ancient stone well in the village center, Clara paused to draw water in a polished brass bucket. She offered an encouraging word to the miller's apprentice mopping sweat from his brow, and to the baker kneading dough for the morning loaf. When old Marjorie, bent with years, approached with a cracked clay pot, Clara knelt to help, lifting the bucket with steady grace and filling Marjorie's vessel until it brimmed. The old woman's toothless smile bloomed like a rose in June. Throughout Maple Hollow, folk whispered that Clara carried more than water. She carried strength for weary hearts. As dusk settled over Maple Hollow, Clara delivered the last pail to the schoolhouse, where children gathered to learn their letters by lantern glow. She lingered to hear a shy child read her first sentence, applauding the tiny triumph. With a laugh that seemed to echo gold, Clara left the children dreaming of tomorrow's lessons. By the time Clara returned home, oil lamps flickered in every window, and the scent of evening stew drifted through the lanes. Her simple labor done, Clara's heart brimmed with the joy of having brightened another day. In the market square next morning, young Thomas, just turned 19, waited by the fountain. Thomas, tall and earnest, had often watched Clara move through the crowd with unshakable cheer. Today, standing beneath fluttering pennants, he resolved to ask what puzzled him so. How could she remain joyful when hardship touched every home? He stepped forward as Clara knelt to refill Mrs. Fenwick's worn pail, clearing his throat before speaking. Clara straightened, radiant as sunlit dew, and welcomed his question with undimmed warmth. Thomas's voice trembled with earnest confusion as he asked why Clara always seemed so happy, even when storms ruined crops or illness struck a neighbor. The chatter of merchants hushed, and villagers circled to listen. Without hesitation, Clara lifted her chin, eyes shining like river stones. She invited Thomas to sit beside her on the well's stone lip. The world around them, the cheering crowd, the braying donkey. The call of hawkers faded as Clara prepared to share the story that lay at the heart of her unshakable joy. Clara began by recalling a time when her life was simpler still, warmed by laughter in a humble cottage just beyond the fields. She spoke of her husband Jacob, a gentle soul with flower dust hair, and their two small children, Anna and little Rafi. Their home lacked silver and gold, but overflowed with dinner table stories and nightly lullabies. In those days, Clara had thought happiness sprang from plenty until the first shadow of sorrow darkened their door. One harvest season, Jacob fell ill with a fever that would not abate. Clara remembered the clatter of the apothecary's vials echoing through the night as she begged for medicine beyond her means. The village healer offered herbal brews, but the infection deepened. Clara spent each dawn praying for relief, holding Jacob's scorched hand as his breath grew shallow. The barley fields outside swayed with their own promise of plenty, yet inside the cottage, hope withered like autumn leaves. At length, Jacob's life slipped away like water through fingers. Clara cradled his still form beneath a sky heavy with rain. The once bright cottage fell silent. Children's laughter turned to wails that ripped Clara's heart. She wandered the empty halls, each room a shrine to memories she could not bear to keep. Weeks passed in a blur of tears and empty bowls. Neighbors knocked with condolences, but their words drifted past her, as hollow as an empty pail. One dawn, Clara remained by the wellspring, weighted by sorrow. She drew water mechanically, each pail a probe into the emptiness within. As she looked into the river's mirror, she saw not her reflection but a ghost of the woman she once was. In that hush, clarity dawned. Grief would not restore the past. She could choose to anchor herself in sorrow or drink from the deeper source of gratitude still flowing around her. Clara steadied her breath and made a vow. Each day, she would name one gift for which to be thankful. Clara's first act of gratitude was as simple as a blossom breaking through cracked earth. She thanked the river for its freshness, the barley fields for their resilience, the robin for its dawn song. Her heart, starved of joy, constricted at first. But each sunrise, naming a new blessing, eased the tightness in her chest. Soon she found herself smiling at small wonders she once took for granted. The warmth of the sun on her face, the kindness of a passing neighbor, the taste of cool water on a parched tongue. Over time, Maple Hollow's villagers noticed Clara's return, but changed. Her footsteps carried lightness as she delivered water. Her laugh, once dampened by grief, rang clear as crystal. She paused to help Isaac the shepherd mend his crooked fence, then to share seeds with Marisol, who struggled to sow her patch. When storms battered the roofs, Clara rallied hands to repair them, offering words of hope as nails found their marks. Even unseasonal frosts could not freeze her spirit. Back at the fountain, Clara explained to Thomas that happiness springs not from circumstance, but from the choice to see life's blessings. She described how naming one gift each day became her compass, guiding her through both calm and tempest. When Thomas asked whether she ever felt sadness again, she nodded gently. Tears, she said, were not forbidden. They cleansed the heart. But she refused to dwell there, recognizing that each tear sowed a seed for new strength when released. Clara painted the seasons of her heart like a tapestry, sorrow's deep indigo giving way to dawn's soft apricot, gratitude's leafy green unfurling into joy's golden glow. She spoke of challenges like wild rivers, powerful and sometimes destructive, yet carving new paths if one rode their currents instead of resisting. With every word, Thomas felt his own burdens lighten, as though Clara's wisdom twined around him like a protective cloak. Inspired, Thomas returned home that evening with a heavy heart but a hopeful mind. Before sleep, he listed 3 blessings: a warm hearth, his mother's steady love, and the laughter of his dog, Pip. He awoke before dawn, each thought of gratitude like a spark warming his chest. In the fields, he greeted the sunrise with a soft thank you, and when his chores weighed heavily, he recalled Clara's steady voice reminding him to seek the gift within every moment. Weeks passed, and Thomas found the world richer for his practice. He smiled at neighbors he had once ignored, lent his hand without complaint, and his laughter returned bright as a bird call. In the market, he offered the baker a cheerful greeting. In the tavern, he listened to a merchant's tale with new empathy. The villagers paused, remarking that Thomas seemed transformed. Word spread that Clara's wisdom had lit a spark in another soul. Emboldened by Thomas's example, others approached Clara with timid hope. The blacksmith asked how to stay calm when flames threatened their forge. The weaver wondered where to find patience as looms snarled. Clara welcomed each inquiry with warmth, reminding them to name one blessing even in trial. Slowly, Maple Hollow's tone shifted. Gossip gave way to empathy. Envy dissolved into generosity, and the tolling of the chapel bell sounded less like marking time and more like calling hearts to gratitude. At the Autumn Harvest Festival, the village gathered beneath lantern-lit boughs. Barrels of cider stood beside platters of roasted root vegetables. Clara, draped in a wreath of marigolds, led a circle of villagers in speaking aloud their daily gifts. One by one, voices rose. The teacher's joy in a child's first poem, the miller's awe at golden grain, the tailor's pride in a finished gown. Thomas, standing beside Clara, felt the warmth of shared gratitude weave the community into a living tapestry of hope. As years passed, Clara's story became woven into Maple Hollow's very soul. Children learned the gratitude practice at their mother's knees. Elders passed it as a cherished heirloom. Even travelers paused at the well to ask the kind-hearted water carrier about happiness. Each time Clara shared her simple truth, her eyes crinkled kindly. Happiness grows from within, nurtured by the smallest seeds of thankfulness. One dawn, Thomas, now grown and bearing a gentle wisdom in his own gaze, met Clara at the well. He presented her with a brass chalice engraved with the words, "Gratitude waters the soul." Clara accepted it with tears of joy, sensing in his gift the fullest measure of her own journey. That wisdom shared multiplies in unexpected abundance. Around them, the well's water gleamed like liquid light. In centuries to come, song singers would recount the tale of the humble water carrier, whose happiness became the village's heart. Bards would speak of grief met with gratitude, of sorrow transformed by choice. But for those who walked Maple Hollow's lanes in quiet moments, the greatest truth remained. Happiness springs from within, an ever-flowing well that no drought of circumstance can empty, so long as one remembers to give thanks each new dawn. Moral: joy is neither gift nor treasure caught in fortune's favor, but a daily choice to see the blessings already pouring through our lives.